All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Top Producer Show. My name is Brandy, and this is Jeff. And the whole point of the Top Producer Show is to show you guys what it actually takes to become a top producer in network marketing. Now, even though this show is geared towards network marketing, all the methods that we use for here, we use in our traditional businesses as well. So if you're a business owner in network marketing, feel free to take some notes, and we're going to jump into this. So we've been going over the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and we are on chapter 4 today. So on this chapter, he's like, this chapter is about taking souls. And I was like, oh dear, we're off to a great start. So where we left off in the previous chapter, he just finished the test, he passed, and he was about to go off to training. So basic underwater demolition seals or buds training is a 6 months long. It's 6 months long and is divided into 3 phases. So the first phase is all about physical training. The second phase is dive training, where they learn how to navigate underwater and deploy stealthily, and closed circuit diving systems that emit no bubbles and recycle their own carbon dioxide into breathable air. So, which is kind of cool. I'm actually curious to see how they do all that, because that seems neat. And the third phase is land warfare training. So the first phase takes 120 people and withers it down to about 25 to 40 people because it's so hard. Most people don't stick around. So his comment about this was, when the throbbing ache in your muscles and joints are racketed up high, and we live day and night with an agony, hyperventilating feeling of our breath getting out front of our physical rhythm, of our lungs inflating and deflating like canvas bags, squeezed as if a demon's fists are around them, and for 130 hours straight. That's a test that goes way beyond the physical and reveals the heart of the character. And so more than anything, it reveals your mindset, which is exactly what it's designed to do, because it pushes you so far past the point where people literally break down and they're like, this is awful, which is why they call it Hell Week. So even on the hardest days prior to the first phase of Hell Week, there was always a way out, which means there was an end of the day where people could sleep, they can have fun with friends, they can visit. But during Hell Week, there is no end of the day, there is no rest. You're up constantly, and you're diving into freezing cold water. So during Hell Week, they're running on the sand, they're diving in and out of the water. And this is early May in California, when they're jumping into the ocean, which is anywhere between 59 to 63 degrees, and it's called surf torture, and they have to jump in and out, and doctors have to go and check on them to make sure that they're not getting hypothermia. Now, I think from it was a video we were watching about the SEALs training, where they were talking about how cold the water is. And there's sharks out there too. And they claimed like nobody's been eaten by sharks yet, until I think just recently somebody did just get hurt. But that was like one time over so many years, which it can happen. But just the extreme cold of having to jump in and out, and at some point there is no, and like they would end up running to try to warm up at some point. But at another time, like you just cannot warm up. So when you're that cold and stressed, the mind can't comprehend the next 120 hours. So 5.5 days without sleep can't be broken up into small pieces. So there is no way to systematically attack it, which is why every single person who has ever tried to become a SEAL has to ask themselves a very simple question during their first dose of surf torture, which is, why am I here? Because you have to have more of a reason to be there than just, oh, this is just something I felt like doing. I felt like tinkering with it. So because nobody has to become a SEAL, becoming a SEAL is a choice, and it's voluntary torture, and it makes no sense to the rational mind, which is why those 4 words unravel so many people. And there were so many details that went into this chapter. We're probably going to have to split it up into 2 or 3 videos, because he goes into so much detail of what this training incorporates. So, but there's people yelling and screaming at you 24/7. You're constantly moving. He's like, you're freezing, you're jumping in and out of the water. And he's like, at a certain point, he's like, when everybody started, everybody was excited. We're like, this is great, we're gonna be SEALs, let's go, let's do this. He's like, by the second day, there was no hooting or hollering. Everybody was silent. He's like, you hit a different point where reality really sets into what you got yourself into, and then you're really testing your boundaries of like, can I really do this? And that is true with business too. A lot of people are very excited, and then when reality hits of like what the work is actually going to take to become successful, then it can kind of discourage people. But it's the people that stick around and they push through it who end up doing well in business. So with that is what we have from this first part of the chapter that I have written. But Jeff, what would you like to add?
I mean, the building a business, especially in direct sales and network marketing, has some similarities. The first thing is what it actually takes to build a business is kind of a lot of unknown factors. Everybody thinks they know what it takes. Everybody's like, oh, I just have to talk to people. Oh, I just have to, sponsor people. Oh, I just have to sell this much product. But most people don't know what it really takes because they just haven't physically done it. And until you get to that point where you're there, you don't know what you're made of. You really don't. When you're trying to push yourself, because you made a good point. Nobody has to be a SEAL. No one has to be successful inside of direct sales and network marketing. No one. So what does it take to push yourself past all those limits to become successful? And I'll tell you, it's probably not going to be, I want some extra money. That's not going to be enough. It's probably not, I want a new car. That's not going to be enough. It's probably not, hey, I'd love to have a new house. I want to move. Freedom is a driving force. Freedom for sure is a driving force. Respect is a driving force. Getting yourself to the point where you feel that you can accomplish anything, that's a driving force. And what I mean by a driving force is that will push you past the normal limitations that most people have. Because freedom is something that, as you remind yourself that you're trapped in a cage, meaning you have to go to work every day and you have to stay in work. I mean, somebody made an analogy. They said, you know what the difference between jail and a job is? The people in jail know the date they're able to leave. The people at a job do not. A jail cell has a certain diameter. A job cubicle is actually smaller than that. Yeah, you get to go home, you get to go home in the evening, and you get to go home maybe on the weekends, depending on the job you have. But unfortunately, when it comes to, the job, you got to come back. And it is a trap. So the freedom to break free of that, to have the money on a consistent basis that comes in, that's kind of more of what it takes. Now, another interesting factor is during SEAL training, and I, of course, haven't been there. This is strictly from watching on TV and talking to people who have gone through it. You can't do it by yourself. And what I mean you can't do it by yourself is during this training, yes, part of it's running. That's kind of an individual thing. But then you go to the logs, and the logs are something they basically have to lift up, carry, walk. Well, you're put with a group of people, a squad, I think is what it's called, and you're put with this group of people, and the issue is now you cannot succeed just because you're doing the right thing. You have to succeed because everybody's doing the right thing. And that's a lot like direct sales and network marketing. You get to a certain point in network marketing and direct sales where you figured it out and you're good. The problem is you cannot get to some of the higher levels unless you have people on your team and teach people on your team to succeed with you. It's a group effort. So now all of a sudden you're faced with a decision. Do I keep doing this, or am I going to start training people? Am I going to start helping people? Now, the problem is that helping people doesn't automatically mean you're going to win. You might invest all this time in a person and they're still going to quit. You might invest all this time in a person and they decide to give up, and there's nothing you can do about that. Why? Because it's voluntary. It's voluntary. Most people don't want the success that bad. And, you know, I in watching this training, it's like a 4-hour documentary. I believe I watched it online and need to watch it again. Watching it online, it really just pushes you to that edge. And if you've ever built big inside of direct sales, network marketing, if you want to build big, there will be those kind of tests. There will be those late nights, and it'll seem like late nights in the sand. And I can tell you about people that I know that have built really big, and they had to have that conversation with themselves. Some of them walked outside, some of them drove around, some of them were up late in their backyard, kind of questioning, why am I here? What am I doing? Is this worth it? You know, because you're challenged by so many people around you, and you're watching so many people quit around you, that you kind of have to build this it's a different reason. There's a reason why you get in, right? There's a reason why you get in, and there's a different reason why you build and start building, but there's a very different reason why you're going to be successful. And you kind of have to go through these phases to get there. But for the people who can get there and who understand the dynamics of what they're doing, to win that prize. And the prize is that you got through and did it. It's not the money. And I can only say this because, you know, I've gotten to a point where we've made some really, really good money in direct sales, you know, over $10,000 a month while we were still working. So the $10,000 a month. I mean, imagine working your job and making $10,000 a month on the side of your job. It's a different feeling. Like, okay, all the debt's paid, all the bills are paid. Now we can go do stuff. Where do we want to put the money? Do we want to travel? Do we want to, you know, have fun? What do we want to do? So it's going to take a team effort. Now, most people in all kinds of sales decide not to build a team because teamwork is so freaking difficult. Most people cannot take care of themselves. Most people cannot discipline themselves to do what it takes on a regular basis, let alone set the example for everybody else, which is why parenting is so hard too. And I'm making that analogy not as a parent, I'm just from the outside looking in. That's why it's so damn difficult, is because how do you discipline yourself? How do you discipline somebody else when you're not disciplined? How do you reprimand somebody else when you're doing some of the same things? You know, because I've often found, and there's a saying inside of network marketing, and I was just talking to a friend yesterday, and I said, the biggest problem with direct sales and network marketing is your team will only do 50% of what you do right. Your team will only do 50% of what you do right. The speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. So however fast you're going, your team will not believe they can go that fast. Your team will believe they can go at a quarter of that speed or half that speed, maybe even 75% of that speed, but not the same speed that you're going, which means as a leader, you will have to do more. The buck stops here. It puts that responsibility on you. Now, on top of that, then you have to turn around and teach everybody else. Your team will also do 110 to 120% of what you do wrong, right? They're going to take whatever you're doing wrong and amplify it. So you have to be an example. And it reminds me, again, going back to what David Goggins talked about and what the video, the documentary on Bud's training, you know, specifically on Hell Week, is the instructors see who the leaders are. The instructors see, and when he's talking about taking souls, there is a certain look that somebody will give you when they're emotionally and physically done. They're going to quit. I've seen it, and it's kind of funny. If you're in direct sales and you're in this long enough and you go to enough meetings and you talk to enough people, you can literally see it in their eyes. I'm done. There's just they won't be able to look at you. They're defeated, their posture, everything. They're out. And you can hear it in their words. Well, I got this new job, and and I'm having these issues at home, and I'm behind on this and I'm behind on that, and they have their list of excuses. They have their bullshit story has been completed, meaning they've detailed everything out, so that way they've given themselves the out. They've given themselves the excuse, and he talks about this later in the book. And I only know this because I've watched like 20 interviews with him. So I kind of know this story and where he goes with it, and he details out part of the book in, several of these interviews. But you're going to see the same thing. So that's kind of what I got out of it, is just some of the similarities. And is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it, but you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it for probably physical things. You're probably going to do it for emotional things, which is really interesting, right? You're going to work for the emotion. You're going to work for the respect. You're going to work for, I want to use the word, like, you're going to work for, like, what other people, you're going to work for character, and kind of the honor of being able to do it versus the cash versus the level. Some people are going to do it for more of the recognition style. That's really big to a lot of people, to be able to stand on stage and say that I won. Most people that I've met did it for the freedom. They were absolutely positively done. They were tired of working for somebody else. They were tired of living off of a percentage of what they could be living off of. They were tired of giving their family less than what they deserve. And they were like, that's it. I'm done. I'm never going backwards. And it's kind of like that moment you have to hit. Now, he talks about this in this training. The problem is they put you through that cycle again and again and again and again and again, because you're lifting logs with people and people are falling out. Somebody has to pick up the slack, right? So obviously if you're lifting something that, I can't remember what those logs were. They were like 1,000 pounds. So if you have 8 guys on it, you're each supporting, 120 pounds each. One guy leaves, all of a sudden you go from 120 pounds to 160 pounds. If you don't understand this math, just go and put that much weight on a squat bar, do Smith machine, and see how moving it 20 or 30 pounds, if you've been running all day, if you haven't been sleeping. Then you go from that, dropping that, and then they make you go pick up a boat. And what I mean by a boat is like an inner tube boat. And you've got to run into the ocean. You got to get in it. You got to paddle around something. You got to come back, and you're being tested against everybody else. The loser always pays a price. Now, the loser pays a price in Navy SEALs. You're dead. You're dead. And you killed everybody you're with because you didn't perform at the level you're supposed to. That's the consequences with the SEALs. The problem is in network marketing, the moment you quit, the moment you take the foot off the gas, what you do is you kill everybody in your organization's belief. You don't kill them, you kill their belief. You kill the belief that it can happen. You kill the belief that momentum's there. You kill the belief that it's possible to succeed. So that's kind of what I got out of this. And the book's amazing. The person, and crazy enough, everything that we're talking about here wasn't the hardest thing he's done.
Yep.
Okay.
So with that, we are here Monday through Friday at noon. And yes, there's a kitty here. And so all these videos will be uploaded to YouTube, so that way if you'd like to go back, rewatch, and take notes, you are more than welcome to. And that YouTube channel is the Top Producer Show, so you want to make sure that you go and subscribe to that. We also have a training company, so if you're in network marketing and you're struggling with who to talk to, how to talk to people, if you're interested in leads, we do show people how to do that. And you don't have to buy anything right away. You could just go join the community by going to joinmyleadershipnetwork.com and check it out and see if there's something there that we could help you with. So with that, that is what we have for you guys today, and we will see you tomorrow.
Awesome.